And at the same time, when I was doing our lesson last semester, at my church, I was doing a series called Occult Indoctrination. And he really wanted me to do that here last time, but I just really didn't have an opportunity to do that. I really wanted to do some more foundational discipleship principles. But now this time, he's like, man, you're going to do the occult indoctrination and the Illuminati thing, and he always calls it the Illuminati thing. But there's so much buzz and so much talk concerning Lady Gaga. I'm not sure, are people familiar, is anybody familiar with some of these people and some of the things that's going on? So you have like Lady Gaga, and you have Jay-Z and Beyonce. Anybody, if you heard Beyonce, raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand. So I'm not alone, all right. So, and if you did raise your hand, we're going to plug you in. We're going to get you some research. But these are popular artists, music artists. Some of them are actors. And so there's a big buzz dealing with Illuminati, with Freemasonry. And one of the things I want us to understand is it's so much more depth and so much more detailed than just Illuminati. But it really, in the heart of it, is dealing with occult indoctrination. And so that's why I had labeled this occult indoctrination. I don't know, maybe we can turn off one light so that way you guys can see these slides over there. Is that better? All right. So they see me anyhow. So we're going to go on a journey. And there's a couple areas that I want us to understand as we go on this journey dealing with occult indoctrination. I want us to be on the same page. It's important that as we talk about things that we're on the same page. Sometimes you can have one person talking about something and another person talking about something, and they're really talking about the same thing, but because they're not on the same page, they're kind of arguing. Have you ever seen anybody just argue? They're really arguing about the same exact thing, but that's because they're not on the same page. And so I want us to be on the same page, and the thing that I want us to understand is, do we really understand that we're in spiritual warfare? I want you to think about it for a minute. Do we really get it? If you have an opportunity, if you have pens or a paper, please pull that out. I'm normally really good as far as giving you guys some handouts. But this is just so much information. I'll try to hopefully give you some handouts next week. But it's so much information, so you're definitely going to want to write some things down, because if you're like me and you hear people talking about it and the buzz, you're going to want to give them some correct information. And that's part of why we're doing this, is because one of the things that Satan will do is he'll take something and it's true, but then he'll add a little bit of falsehood to it, or whatever it might be, where now it discredits it. And so a lot of things that are going on when it comes to this occult indoctrination going on with Beyonce and Jay-Z and the Illuminati, Freemasonry, some of it is way out there. I'm going to tell y'all right now, some of it's just nonsense. But then there are other parts that are true. And how basically we have some artists and people that are doing very demonic things and are indoctrinating us with demonic principles, and we have no idea what's going on. And so what ends up happening is that other people hear about it and they start talking about it, and then they discredit it. They're like, oh no, man, that ain't true. No, that's way over the top. And so what we're going to talk about is more detailed. I want us to be on the same page in that. Do you understand we're in spiritual warfare? Here's a question for you. Do you really get it that demons are real? Satan is real. Because if demons are real and if Satan is real, then that means this spiritual warfare is real. We are in battle. And so when I'm talking about occult indoctrination, some of the things I'm going to talk about, you're going to be like, okay, B, that's kind of out there. But if you come back to understanding that this is warfare and what we are dealing with every single day, then it will make more sense and you will see it differently. And so as we go on this journey, I want you to go on this journey with me, understanding that we are in spiritual warfare. Everybody understand that? Mm-hmm. What do I mean? In 1 Peter, the word tells us to be sober, to be vigilant. Because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Think about that for a minute. The Bible says that our adversary, the devil, is walking around trying to kill us, trying to devour us. So this spiritual warfare is real. See, we're whistling and joking and laughing, but Satan is not laughing. Satan is not joking when it comes to destroying your life. How can I destroy your faith? How can I bring division in your home? How can I just tear down what you have? How can I bring you misery? That is the objective of Satan. How can I destroy your relationship with Jesus Christ? Look at this scripture where Jesus is talking to Simon Peter. And he says, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded permission to sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And you, when once you have returned again, strengthen your brothers. Do we get it? Satan is trying to sift you like wheat. That means tear you to shreds. To tear your faith apart. We are in warfare. I want us to look a little bit closer at this 1 Peter 5:8. And we're getting encouragement. This is one of the things that we need to do as we walk and as we live, is we need to be sober. We need to be vigilant. These are the things that will help us to avoid the pitfalls and what Satan is trying to do in our lives. See, some of the things that happen that rock our world, that end up happening, that shake our world, and we're just depressed and we're falling out, is because we weren't sober. We walked into the trap. We weren't vigilant. I like to think of it like this. If I had a knife, just imagine I got a big old knife right now. So I like to have something in my hand. So I got a pencil. So just imagine my pen is a knife, okay? And everybody in this room knows that I'm an escaped convict who murdered 10 people. I still got my orange suit on. Okay. So I'm walking around with my knife. What's going on? What do y'all think? I'm standing up behind you, man. What you doing?
I would be on the way to hit you in the face right now.
You're on the way to hit me in the face?
Get out of here.
Okay, but as I'm walking around, what's going on? I got a knife. What's going on? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, you're a little concerned.
You're concerned. And so because you're concerned, what are you doing? I'm walking around. What are you doing?
I'm watching you.
You're watching me because I have a knife and I'm trying to kill people. Satan has a knife and is trying to kill us. But we don't put the connection together. He is trying to devour you. It's just like a man in this room with the knife. You don't take your eyes off of him. You're going to watch him, and if he gets too close, like my brother said, because I'm ready. So be sober. What is this word sober? Be sober. How can we be sober? One thing about sober is, what's the problem with this picture right here?
Learning how to focus.
It's fuzzy. See, when you're not sober, things are fuzzy. What you think might be something really isn't something. Question?
What was the last verse that we just read? It was 1 Peter.
1 Peter
5:8.
5:8. Does anybody have the one where...
Luke 22:31.
There we go. Thank you.
And then Luke what?
22:31 through 32.
All right, praise the Lord. Definitely want you guys to get those. So what is it about this? Some of us, we aren't sober, and so life is blurry. How can you understand this? What does this say? It's blurry. And so here it is. There are signs in front of us, but because we're not sober, we are unable to make out what these signs are. We're unable to make out what the enemy is doing. Because again, the enemy doesn't take days off. It's not like, okay, what's your name, man? Okay, well, Tim's just having a tough day. You know what? I'm going to leave Tim alone today. Satan doesn't do that. Satan's like he's going, when you get down, he's going to be really stumpy. And so we have to be sober. So this word sober, it means to see and to think clearly. It means that I'm sober, so I'm able to see and I'm able to think clearly. My thought process, the way that I'm taking in information is clear to where I can see and I can think clearly. Was there a question over here? Okay. Then we have this other word, vigilant. What does that mean? Anybody?
Be aware, watchful.
Aware, watchful, absolutely. I like those. What's my man doing right here?
I made those.
So here it is. He's driving while sleeping. No, he's actually kind of eyes just closed. What happens when we're sleeping? We crash because we're not awake. We're not truly aware of what's going on. And so this word, again, vigilant, it means to be alert. It needs to be on guard. What do you notice about this dog? It's alert. Ears are up. I'm hearing, I'm seeing what's going on. I'm ready. So again, if I'm walking around with a knife, you're ready. If he gets too close, I'm going to knock him out. I'm ready. I see what's going on. It's not as though there's a murder in the room and because I'm not sober. Again, if I wasn't sober, if I wasn't seeing things clearly, I wouldn't even know that there was a murder in the room. Some of us have no idea the things that we are allowing into our home. Watch this, you guys. Things that we're allowing into our home. Things that we brought into our homes. Come on. And have on our iPods are trying to destroy us. Because we're not sober. We don't see clearly. We really don't understand what it is we're watching and listening to. But if we were sober and alert, we'd be ready for it. Any questions on these areas?
It's good, it's good.
As we go through this, I don't want you to misunderstand. I want you to understand that we are in warfare. That this isn't a game. If I told you that Hollywood is slowly indoctrinating us with different beliefs, what would you say?
It's probably true.
It's probably true. And so the question is what does indoctrination mean? I like, indoctrination means to teach somebody a belief or doctrine or ideology with the goal of discouraging independent thought. So basically, you're not really asking, I don't want your opinion, I don't want you to examine it, I don't want you to question what I'm trying to show you, what I'm presenting to you. I just want you to receive it and not ask any questions about it. That's what to be indoctrinated in. I don't want you to think, don't process anything, but just receive what I'm giving you. Quick ad-lib. You know that why music is so powerful? Because it goes past your thought process. That's why music is so powerful. I'll give you an example. On the count of 3, I want all of us to begin to say our ABCs. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, wait. Who told you to sing? Who told you to sing? But I said say your ABCs, and you began to sing your ABCs. Why? Because you also learned it that way. Because song helps us to learn information because it goes past a process in our minds that's trying to analyze it and break it down, and it just goes straight into our soul. It goes straight into our long-term memory. And so that's one of the things that music we have to be careful of. Because it's also a tool that can help indoctrinate us to where we're not really understanding it, we're just receiving it. That's why they're foolish when they say, I'm just listening to the beat. There's no way you can listen to the music and not hear the lyrics. There's absolutely no way. You are no longer being sober. You're not being alert because you don't see it clearly. Let me go back. How many of us have seen the movie Matrix? Okay, great. So I'm not going way off. Let me throw this plug in here. There's some interesting things in the movie of the Matrix that I want us to see here.